Test, test, test. Yes, this is a short test video of XPlane11 and the MD80. Having some issues with frame rates, running from 15 to 47 frames per second. And this particular video averaged about 24 to 25, so I just wanted to run a quick check of it and render it, see what happens, and how it turns out. So I'm posting this to get some feedback and some help from you fine folks out there that have been so nice to watch my videos and made some very kind and considerate statements to this old dog who's learning every time I do a new flight video. One of the issues I've run into is the new the XPlane11 last update, public beta number 8. Evidently doesn't like something in my computer because it has crashed 4 or 5 times in the last 2 days. So, and I'm running a Alien Area 51 computer with the NVIDIA 1080s. Now, XPlane never has used the SLI, but I've got dual 1080s and I'm running an i7 processor with 32 gigs of RAM. So I should be smoking, and yet the frame rates, like I said, have ranged from 15 to up to 47 at times. The biggest problem, they're averaging in the 30s. And the big problem starts when I start to do my screen capture to make my videos. So the other issue is the MD80. The autopilot is real quirky, and this is the stock XPlane11 MD80. But you know, it flies great. I love the airplane. I just wish I could get that autopilot to work properly. So, any input from you folks that have flown this plane and know how to use this particular autopilot, I'd sure appreciate your input. Also on what you think of the video and whether or not you feel I should leave it up or take it down. But as I said, this is just a test to see how this renders onto YouTube at the lower frame rates. Now I must say, in XPlane11, the lower frame rates don't seem to affect the look of the aircraft while it's flying. I haven't had any issues with lag, no choppiness. The flights have looked very smooth. The biggest issue is when I'm going into editing the videos and keeping the sound and video itself synced based on the frame rates that I run edit the video at and make the final product. Now I usually use 29.97, but in this particular video I ran it at 25 frames per second, which is basically an international PAL setting. But I just want to see how it works. So it's just a short little, about 11 and a half, 12-minute video. And as I said, it's running at the slower frame rates. Process this at 25 frames per second. The video itself was captured at 24 frames per second. So even with that, there was a little difference in the sound and the video. So I did make some minor adjustments with that. And even in this short little video, I've got the autopilot is working in that it is following my heading select, but it is not following the FMC loaded flight plan. Now, I can still get from point A to point B. Like in this flight, I was actually flying from Dallas Fort Worth to Phoenix, Arizona, and you know, I can use heading select because the flight plan does show on my MFD, but I couldn't get the autopilot set up to actually fly the route itself. So that's something I'm working on. Plus, the reason the flight wasn't completed, right at the end of this video, and you won't see it, but at the end of the video, just over 11 minutes, XPlane11 crashed. I was pulling up the map from the simulation, and as the map came up, I went to turn the map back off after looking at what I wanted to see, and I ended up with not responding and then a complete crash. So at that point I decided, let's just go ahead and take this short piece of the flight and go ahead and see how it works out and run it as a test. And other than the issue I've got with the autopilot on this particular aircraft, it flies really well. And the cockpit is rendered extremely nicely. Me. As always, gotta have the bug eater cough in there. You wouldn't recognize me without it. Yep, I have watched videos, and I have looked at videos, and I have read documentation, and I still can't get this autopilot to work properly for me. So anybody that has gotten it working properly, I appreciate any input you may have for me. And I'm using real world weather and real world time, so it was just about 9 a.m. in Texas when I took off, and the weather wasn't bad. Scattered clouds and haze. by looking at my FFD down there that I'm not flying the track that's highlighted, but we are on a heading that will take us to it. And we're finally at our 10,000 feet. So we've got speed hold at 250, altitude hold at 10,000. On this particular airplane, every time you click the left mouse button, you get that sound, that click, click sound. And at this point, crashed. So, the test is complete. Thanks for watching. Again, as I said, leave me any feedback you may have. I really appreciate everything. And so I'll see you soon in the skies. And as always, safe flying.